So I have something called Usher Syndrome, which is the leading genetic cause of deaf blindness in the US and around the world. And so I was very fortunate to be born with relatively normal hearing. My right ear, I was told, my parents were told when I was younger, I had a cookie bite of hearing loss. We assumed that it was from having frequent ear infections. There was no association with any type of genetic disorder at the time. So fast forward to about my sophomore year of college, and I woke up one morning and I had really loud ringing in my ears, tinnitus. After about a week or so of it not going away, I thought, oh gosh, I better get this checked out. Now, I was diagnosed with the vision part of my condition, retinitis pigmentosa, when I was 12. That's what we thought I had. We thought I had RP. And it wasn't until I was about 18, 19 when I went to an otolaryngologist at the University of Michigan, and they said, Rebecca, you're not just losing your vision, you're losing your hearing as well. And so it was a pretty overwhelming diagnosis. It was a very cold January day in Michigan, and I just remember feeling this overwhelming sense of bleakness, of loss, of not knowing what this diagnosis even meant. But what I knew was that something was really sort of changing in my life, and that my confidence in my ability to maintain my independence and to do things felt like it was rattled. But I think that people don't really ever talk about or hone in on the sort of the whole picture, how it affects you socially, how it affects you in terms of your confidence in your work life, at school, and your ability to feel a sense of being a part of the world, of your community. And in my own process of coming to terms with having a condition that's causing me to lose two of my senses, I had to go through a lot of my own psychotherapy. I had to do a lot of my own work on developing comfort with loss and with perpetual change. And so what I realized is that the work was very meaningful for me. And if it was that meaningful for me, that certainly would be that meaningful for other people as well. There's a real need and there's a benefit to being able to really sit with yourself and to explore the things in your life that you can improve upon. So it's an ideal environment for someone like me with hearing loss, to be sitting in a room with one person or with two people or a family. That's sort of an environment that is easy to negotiate, that's relatively controlled. And so I thought this is something that for long term would be actually probably sustainable. So I moved to New York City because I knew that given my vision loss, I was not going to be able to continue driving for much longer, and that I would be in the same boat as pretty much everybody else here, taking cabs, using public transportation, walking to get around. And what I didn't know was that my hearing was actually going to play a much bigger role because of all the sounds, but also because I'd have to navigate the city a lot more, and I couldn't rely as much on my vision. And so for me, being able to live in New York City and to have my hearing improved was crucial to my ability to maintain my independence. I always wanted to come to New York City. I was always so intrigued by it, by just all of the different walks of life, by how many people coexisted in one place and yet came from such just totally different backgrounds. I think that for me, professionally, listen, when you have a condition where you're losing senses, you don't want to feel that sense of isolation, and you have this overwhelming fear that you are being taken from your world. But when I was tested many times throughout the years for a cochlear implant, and I was told I wasn't a candidate. And so the last time I went to get tested in 2013 to find out whether I was a candidate, it was mostly to get people off my back. Like, no, I'm still fine. I'm doing okay with my hearing aids. And they said, Rebecca, turns out you're a candidate for a cochlear implant. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't ever, even when I became a candidate, I didn't really believe that I was a candidate because it was just so foreign to me. Hearing aids and a cochlear implant felt so scary. And I think that for so many people in the community, going from a hearing aid to a cochlear implant feels like this monstrous step. Right? So to experience that sense of struggle with my hearing and then to get cochlear implanted, to finally sort of go through that process there's no way to describe it, but I can tell you that it is the best thing I've ever done for myself in terms of my ability to assimilate into the world and feel like I'm more confident and I'm able to be my most natural and authentic self. My decision to go with Advanced Bionics as the cochlear implant company was a very specific, deliberate one. I wanted to know who are your staff? Who are your audiologists? What do you know about the technology? Why should I choose this technology? If I'm having this embedded into my skull, I want to know that this is something that I'm doing with the right company. And Advanced Bionics was the most available. They were the most compassionate. They were the most, I felt, educated about the equipment that they use, about the technology, about how far they've come. The audiologist that I worked with developed a relationship with me. She took the time with me. She set up calls with me. We did video calls because at the time it was helpful for me to be able to read her lips. And it was so meaningful to me. And her level of expertise and her ability to describe to me and have the patience with me to go through the process of what it was like was so important. It made me feel like I was actually part of the Advanced Bionics community, if that makes sense. And it was far above and beyond what I'd experienced with the other two companies. So it was, I don't want to say it was a no-brainer because I really sort of struggled to make a decision. But once I'd interviewed and met with the audiologists from Advanced Bionics, I knew that this was going to be the best choice for me. As a psychotherapist, when you're talking to someone and they're sharing something with you that is incredibly vulnerable, or if they're talking about something they have shame around, their voice and their intonation will change. Oftentimes, they aren't speaking as loudly. It's not something they even want to necessarily hear themselves say. And before this upgrade, having to ask someone to repeat themselves to make sure that I heard it correctly, because it's not information you want to miss out on. And certainly there was a sense of angst of having to ask them to repeat something that was very difficult for them to say even in the first place. I find now that I'm much more fine-tuned into what they're saying so that even as their voice may drop, I'm able to hear what they're saying in a way that I couldn't before. And I remember before, I would have to give this precursor that if you say something and I don't catch it, please know it's not that I'm not listening, I just may not have heard you. And since I've been upgraded, I have not had to do that. So since my upgrade, now that I can just Bluetooth stream myself right into my phone, I put my phone down when I have to make a call that's for work. You know, sometimes I needed to take notes. Sometimes I'm admitting someone into a program and I need to be able to look at all of my chart notes or see what their history of anything is. And there was a lot of juggling going on. But as soon as I make a call, I put the phone down on my desk and I can get up and walk and pick up a file. The Bluetooth technology for me has given me a lot of my life back. It's given me a lot of this sort of pop culture that I sort of tuned out because it was just too much to try to follow, to try to listen to. And now I just stream myself into anything. I can listen to podcasts. I can really feel like I have access in ways that I didn't before.
You know, so I've been with her through the entire trajectory of her hearing loss, back when she was wearing really small hearing aids to then more powerful hearing aids, and then certainly the first iteration of the cochlear implants. And it's amazing to see how much more she's been able to adapt to different situations that the previous technology wasn't good for. Well, I think generally speaking, for the hearing impaired, probably one of the biggest concerns and the biggest struggle is the social implications. I mean, there are hurdles that you have to get over when you have difficulty hearing in social environments, whether it be restaurants or going to someone's house. And, you know, historically, she always felt comfortable watching TV or watching a movie in her home with her TV, with her captions, with her TV connector, and having a very controlled environment. And it made it really difficult to do that outside of her home. Even if she wanted to come to my house, which is a very familiar and comfortable place, it was always like, oh, well, she doesn't have her TV Connect, and she doesn't have this, and she doesn't have that. And now we can, you know, we're invited, Friday night, we're going to order pizza and watch a movie and come over, and we'll go to her best friend's house around the corner, and we did that the other day, and we watched a movie, and she doesn't even really turn the captions on in many cases. So the clarity of her hearing and what she's able to capture in unfamiliar or difficult circumstances or environments it's night and day. And I think her natural disposition is to be social and to be outgoing and to be out there. And that's one of the beauties of living in New York, is that you have all of these things that you can go and experience at any moment. But hearing is a big part of that. And, you know, if you're always having to bother calling the box office and asking for special accommodations because you need to be in the second row because you can't hear well, or you need to find out if there's a hearing loop or assistive listening devices, it makes it less spontaneous and just more cumbersome. And to be free of that burden is a big deal.
I have known Rebecca, I'd say, for about 15 years or so. And we met when she was a spin instructor. You don't even realize that Rebecca has cochlear implants on. You know, we do classes together. We take gym classes together. And I know they're there. I don't think anybody else really realizes they're there. You just would never know. Rebecca has brought so much more to my life. It's kind of all the everyday things that we do together. She constantly makes me laugh. She's beyond silly and playful, and we just always have fun. And I love that she's just always, you know, able to enjoy what we're doing, and she doesn't take everything so seriously.
So since I got my upgrade and I come to the gym, the most important thing for me is to be able to work out as hard as I want to, not having to worry about whether my ears are going to get too sweaty or whether I have to be concerned about them falling off or not being able to hear. And I think one of the benefits of having this upgrade is that I don't even think about my ears. I'm just so present for my workout. I'm able to work as hard as I normally would, and there's such a freedom that comes with that. Just being able to be present and not be worrying about anything else.
Here's what I'll say to people who are hesitant to get cochlear implants, who are candidates, who are waiting for the next best technology, or maybe they're waiting for biological research like stem cells to be able to restore their hearing. You are not allowing yourself the full scope and dynamic life that you could have now. And if we're constantly looking for bigger and better and improvement, it means that we're missing out on the present day and how much we have to be a part of that we're missing out on. I work with many people who are hesitant to get cochlear implanted or to get a second cochlear implant. And it's very frustrating for me to see the ways in which they're not involved in real life activities because of their hearing loss. It frustrates me to hear them not doing things or challenging themselves in ways professionally, personally, dating. It makes me frustrated to see them not participate in life and in their lives in a way that they could, that would bring them a sense of satisfaction, that would help them develop their confidence, and that would allow them to have really meaningful relationships, to develop connections.